Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to another episode of Funday Sunday, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that new intro that I worked on. Anyways, we are actually going to show off a ranked battle, a replay of one of my clan mates, Jorge, or you know what, I think it just might be easier just for me, just to make it easier on myself because it's so difficult to say Jorge, I'm going to call him Georgie. Yeah, we'll call him Georgie. Anyway, Georgie is in the Atago, and the Atago is actually one premium ship I don't actually technically have. And it's very similar to the ARP Takao. The only major difference is the ARP Takao does not have the premium benefits of getting a lot of silver earned in a battle. So that's the only downside. So anyways, Sea of Fortune is the map they are playing on. There is the North Carolina, Atago, Kutuzov, two Bensons, Kagero, and Ognavoy. And on the enemy team, there is a Magi, New Orleans, Atago, a Benson, two Kageros, and Lo Yang. Now, I will say that this battle may not be overly exciting. I'm sure for Georgie here, it was very exhilarating, very heart pumping, and I will have to say it really comes down to a lot of things. Now, poor Georgie here is going to have a little bit difficult time, especially here at the very beginning of the battle. Now, I will say I make mistakes, and I'm not going to judge him for mistakes that he makes. Everyone makes mistakes. No one's perfect. So there's a few things that I did kind of notice. One thing is going to be the fighter planes that Jorge just put up. He is not running the premium planes on that, and that's gonna cost him, as we will see later on. Now, unfortunately for Jorge, he did, well, he's going to catch a couple torpedoes. He kind of went broadside into those torpedo screen, and unfortunately, that means he is going to take a very significant amount of damage. Now, this is very crucial in this battle for him being this low on health, which means he does have to play extremely carefully. He does have the heal, which is very beneficial for a tier 8 cruisers, because not many tier 8 cruisers have an actual heal. The only two would be the Edinburgh and the Atago. All other tier 8 cruisers do not have that heal, and it's going to allow Jorge to survive for a little bit longer while he's currently combating the team. Now, the team's doing a really good job. The teams actually have captured B and C, which is going to give them a slight point lead for a little bit. Now, Jorge has switched over to the New Orleans using AP. Shots off on the New Orleans. Does look like he is trying to get torpedoes, maybe to kind of push this Benson away. Now, unfortunately for Jorge, he has come into a rather very dangerous position right now, just due to the fact that he is being spotted and he's not able to maneuver away, but he does get a detonation on the enemy Benson, so that is a nice chunk of damage right there. Good example of why the Atago is pretty good. The Atago, of course, as an IGN cruiser, has really good HE shells, good fire chance, and good HE damage. So pretty good there, especially as we will see later on why this is going to be a very much of a significance determining on how this battle will end. Now, as we can see, the sea cap is currently being captured. He does open up on this monkey. Now, this is really dangerous for him because once again, he is very low in health, and he has to be well aware that all the health that he has is going to depend on how this battle will turn out, because once it's gone, it's gone. Now, granted, he does have heals, but unfortunately, Those heals can only heal up so much damage, and those torpedoes all just took away significant amount of damage from him, took away a significant portion of his health, and that is actually not you aren't able to repair a very high amount of torpedo damage. I believe it's only about, what, 40% of torpedo damage, maybe even less than that. So really got to be careful. But you can see the HE damage from that Lo Yang. Very nice hit there, but the Lo Yang has, of course, dropped smoke and probably has popped his hydro and is beginning to assault the enemy Benson. So things are looking good for the friendly team. They are 2 ships ahead. They've only lost 1 destroyer to the destroyer and the cruiser on the enemy team, and they have 2 caps. They are almost 300 points ahead of the enemy team, and just at this moment, the enemy team has lost another cruiser, and all that's left on the enemy team is the Amagi and the 3 destroyers. Hopefully the friendly team won't let this advantage go away. Now, unfortunately, the Atago does flood the Kutuzov to death, and Jorge is starting to push up on the left western side flank. And now, honestly, I think Jorge should have turned in and try to help the friendly Benson. Now, unfortunately, friendly Benson is going to go down, being focused down by both Kageros. So unfortunately, they have just lost their advantage. Now the teams are even on ships, but the friendly team is still ahead in points. Now A is currently being contested by one of the Kageros, obviously, and it does look like Jorge has popped his hydro and is beginning to obviously keep one of the Kageros spotted. Now, this is a very interesting thing, and I agree with it. Hydro is very beneficial because carriers aren't too often in rank right now that I would recommend always bring in defensive AA. So having the Hydro is very beneficial, but unfortunately he is coming around broadside to the Samagi, and the Samagi this close of distance is going to eat a Citadel right there. So that has left Jorge very low in health. He is getting some repair in, so he is going to get some health back. Now he is focusing down the Samagi. Obviously, he is the more potent threat than the enemy Kagero, so good there. He has taken down the Amagi. So now the friendly team is ahead in ships. Just destroyers left on the enemy team, and the friendly team still has destroyers to help combat them. Surely nothing's gonna go wrong. And there, the friendly team has just lost their Kagero, and the poor North Carolina has just gone down to flooding. And now the enemy team is ahead in caps and ships. Benson is being hyper aggressive. Really don't think he should have been this aggressive. He is pushing in. Yes, he is a Benson, but considering there are still 3 destroyers left, that 2 of the destroyers are Kagero, 1 is a Lo Yang. The Kageros can easily outspot him and easily cause some nasty damage with a surprise attack. So Benson does smoke up the channel. And here, I think if had Jorge did run the plane, it probably would have been off cooldown, or better yet, would have still been up in the air, and would have allowed Jorge to spot any Kageros that are still somewhere in that cap. And there is the enemy Lo Yang, popped his hydro, came around the corner, and is currently focusing down our friendly Benson. But the Lo Yang made a very poor decision because he just came into view range of the friendly Atago of Jorge. And unfortunately for Jorge, he does not, or is not able to save the Benson. But he does get the kill on the enemy Lo Yang, and all that's left on the enemy team are 2 Kageros. Now, things are extraordinarily dangerous right now. He is extremely low on health with only 5,372 points of health left on his ship. He does have a hydro and planes coming off cooldown, and he does have one additional heal. But the only way he is going to be able to win, and should be kind of obvious, is either capturing the enemy caps, because there is still about 9 minutes left on this battle. So he does have a little time to kind of bring this back. The other option, obviously, is a little bit more dangerous, is destroying the enemy Kageros. And he is spotted for a second. Does look like there was one Kagero on the southern side of the AB cap. And here are the enemy destroyers. Think they have this Atago right where they want them. Honestly, I probably would have thought the same. And probably what the two enemy Kageros should have done, and this might have been risky. I know they are probably playing it safe, especially considering they have all the caps. Is one possible option they could have done is pushed them at the exact same time, and incoming torpedoes from the northern side. Obviously, one of the destroyers is up there, is now currently spotting him. Plane is spotting the enemy Kagero, but Jorge has his attention on the southern side. He is concerned that the enemy Kagero that was down there is still around, and yes, he is. First hit from that Kagero gets a fire, so he has to immediately use his damage control to ensure the fire does not go rampant. Torpedoes are away, and this is one nice thing about the Atago over the Megami, is you do not have to show a lot of broadside just to get your rear torpedo launchers away. So the Atago does have that side torpedo tubes, which does allow him to get torpedoes away. Now, here I probably would say he should have had his guns a little bit more ready in a better position, rather than being a little bit kind of down as he was. But that's just kind of my thought on that. So Kagero, unfortunately for him, is obviously in a very dangerous position, and obviously there are the enemy Kagero torpedoes. Now that is not how you should be dropping them. You shouldn't drop them both together. Just one torpedo hit from the Kagero would have been sufficient. Kagero does actually survive a little bit longer than he should have. Jorge did drop that shot teensy bit below, so unfortunately the Kagero did get a shot away before he went down, so Jorge did take a little bit more damage than he probably should have. But yes, going back to the Kagero, one torpedo hit would have been sufficient. So instead of dropping both spreads all together, spread them out. It's going to ensure that you win. So that right there could have cost the enemy team this game. Enemy Kagero does come around the side of this island. Jorge is reversing. Very good idea. Ensures that the Kagero has a very difficult time getting those torpedoes off. And Jorge is extraordinarily low on health. He does earn high caliber with one secondary hit. Very nice job there. But he is currently capturing the B cap, and obviously does have control of the A cap. Now this Kagero is concerned that Jorge might be able to pull this back, but he's also really wanting this kill. Once again, Jorge is very low on health with 2,228 points of damage. So one good shell hit from the enemy Kagero would have meant his death. Now here once again, I don't exactly know why he has his guns kind of down. Honestly, he should bring his guns more towards a possible location. Obviously the Kagero could come back in between the middle of the islands, or he could go on the southern side and try to catch him by surprise. But Jorge does, unfortunately, is in a very awkward position. None of his guns were properly aimed, and so this Kagero is going to be able to pull away. But Jorge is trying to get out of there. Unfortunately, he does take another hit from this Kagero, and Jorge is right now just trying to stay alive. Look at this. Now Jorge is unfortunately sitting at 1,337 points of health. Very low in health. Now, there is still around 4 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock. The enemy team is ahead with 814 points to 574, but obviously Jorge has both the A and B cap. Now, at the moment, it is possible they can win, but Jorge has to do something. He can't just rely on these two caps. Enemy Kagero is once again spotted. Thought the Atago thought Jorge would come around the corner, and obviously is dropping torpedoes. Now, this is obviously a good way to prevent the Kagero from pushing. He's obviously well aware of his position being known, so he is concerned about pushing in. Now, at this time, Jorge is concerned about fighting him. He's once again very low in health, and one good shell hit from that Kagero could mean his death, and that includes a good damage roll. So maybe 1 or 2 shell hits, maybe 3 if the Kagero is extremely unlucky. But Jorge now has to come up with a better idea, and he is pulling a hard starboard and now is heading towards sea. Now the Atago has really good speed, 37 knots roughly. And that means he can zip around and try to capture sea. But once again, keep this in mind. The Kagero is concerned that the Atago, and the Atago does have really good guns, is concerned about being spotted by that Atago. So he doesn't really want to push in. And the enemy team does still have a points lead. But there's still about 3 minutes left on this clock, and the friendly team has 2 caps, and 1 cap offers 4 points and 2 points. Actually, better yet, sorry, 2 points apiece. So a total of 4, so the friendly team is gaining 2 points versus the enemy team's 2 points. I am terribly wrong. I am so sorry. Each time the each time the points tick up, it's 4 points each. So Jorge's team is gathering a lot more points more quickly than the enemy team, and now the enemy team is just about to lose their C cap. Now this is a really good job. This is going to ensure that the enemy team won't gain any more points, and Jorge obviously is going to be turning around, because more than likely, as soon as the enemy Kagero does see that the C cap is being captured, is going to be zooming towards the A cap, because obviously he doesn't want to lose on a point disadvantage, and obviously is well aware that Jorge is no longer in a defendable position and should be able to capture the A cap fairly easily. So Jorge is obviously making a quick turnaround to get back to the A cap, because now look at this. The friendly team is starting to really rack up the points. There is now 840 to 912, and there is obviously the A cap currently being captured by the enemy Kagero, and Jorge is quickly motoring his way back. He does not want the enemy team to keep gathering points. This is really coming down to the wire. There's about a minute left on the clock, and at this moment the friendly team is still around 50 points below, but once again they are gathering points and catching up fairly quickly. Jorge is trying to get back, but unfortunately the enemy team does get the A capture. That means they are starting to gather points, and things are looking a little bit dicey. And can he get back in? There's about 30 seconds still left on the clock. If he can stop the enemy team from gathering any more points, he just might have a chance of winning. He is back on the cap. There is 25 seconds. Can his team pull ahead? All the Kagero has to do is pop in and actually attack and open up on Jorge. Jorge does kind of pull in to drop torpedoes, maybe as a discouragement. And Jorge's team is ahead in points. All he has to do is survive for 5 more seconds. Can he do this? I think he can. So that was a very interesting game, and hopefully you guys did see a few things in there that might help you a little bit on playing ranked. And with that, this is going to be it for this episode of Funday Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zaijian.